Vico and Malibuca just won their second Divisional Cup of the year in absolute style. It all came down to a crazy play in the final game. I'll talk about that. I'll discuss all the other teams that did well and which big names struggled. Let's get straight into it. So we've had about a month's break from Divisional Cups because FNCS has been going on, but we are now back into the swing of things, and Vico and Malibuca, of course, took the win. They weren't in first for a lot of the tournament though. Sky and Scroll were the team that looked like they had it wrapped up. Their consistency was incredible. I'll talk about them in depth a bit later on. But going into the final game, they were comfortably in first place with a 67-point gap over Vico Malibuca in second. So clearly a special play was going to be needed. Vico Malibuca had played a good tournament up until this point, but it takes something special to interrupt the consistency of Sky and Scroll, the reigning FNCS champions and the best team in the world right now. So Vico Malibuca had to take matters into their own hands. In the final game of the tournament, they choose not to land at their POI of Frigid Fortress. Instead, they land at the gas station in between Riptides and Battlewood Boulevard. They loot up pretty quickly and then they set up a lurk that changes the course of the tournament. As per usual, Sky and Scroll are the team over at North Battlewood and they're going about their usual routine when disaster strikes for them. Vico lurks on Scroll and takes him out of the game, leaving Sky as a solo. He then tries to survive for as long as possible, but he can't keep playing hide and seek forever. The conclusion is inevitable and that duo does go down. Now this was a really bold play from Vico and Malibuca, and had they not done it, I don't think they would have won the tournament because Sky and Scroll's consistency to this point was remarkable. They had finished inside the top 10 in all 5 games and there was no signs that that was going to stop anytime soon. So Vico and Malibuca had to deal with the issue themselves. This does prove that Sky and Scroll are not infallible. They can actually be beaten. Of course, they shrugged off Chino and Pablo Wingu in game 11 of the FNCS Grand Finals when they tried to land on them. So going into this tournament, their aura was off the charts. They looked unstoppable. It seemed like anyone that tried to contest them over at Battlewood would just get eliminated, but Vico and Malibuca set up the perfect lurk and were able to take them out of the game. However, at this point they still had 59 points to make up and the job was not done. Danger was also just around the corner. Akira and Karama, the team that land at the south side of Battlewood Boulevard, were lurking on them as well, but they completely messed up their lurk and ended up retreating. Pretty lucky escape for Vico and Malibuca. Had that gone a bit differently, Sky and Scroll could have still won the Divisional Cup, but Vico and Malibuca were on a roll at this point and they absolutely dominated for the rest of the game. They secured the points needed during the end game, and then Vico just went on to secure the victory royale as a solo, because why not? I mean, check out this 1v2 against Kami and Hari to take the win. Really was an impressive tournament from both of these players. Malibuca actually had the most damage as well. Usually I do feel like we see Vico at the top of these leaderboards, so it's nice to see Malibuca getting some time there as well. Genuinely, this is such a top quality duo, and there is no reason why they can't repeat this kind of performance at the Summit LAN. They're pretty likely to be uncontested at Frigid Fortress for that tournament and they should easily make the finals, so I could really see them putting on an equally good performance there. These guys do just deserve a lot of credit for being one of the top teams in the EU. They've now won 2 of the last 4 Divisional Cups. They of course came 3rd in FNCS, and yes, I would still say that Sky and Scroll are the clear best team, not only in Europe but the world, but Vico and Malibuca are right on their tail. Now, we had a lot of other teams put in impressive performances, as well as some big name duos that did really struggle, but before any of that, let's talk about the team in second, which was of course Sky and Scroll. And as I've mentioned multiple times in this video so far, I do still regard them as the best team in the world. It just wasn't to be for them. Honestly, they did everything they could have done, finishing inside the top 10 in their first 5 games, securing a win in game 2, which they actually managed from height, proving that they have a huge amount of diversity to their game. Obviously most people would associate them with the low ground, but they've actually shown ability from the mid ground, particularly in the recent FNCS, and now winning from height too. There's nothing these guys can't manage, and had it not been for that lurk play, I do believe this tournament had their name on it. Now the next 3 duos are all teams that qualified for the Summit LAN via the second chance qualifier. In 3rd place we had Skyjump and Mumsy. Now it was definitely a game of 2 halves for these guys. Across the first 3 games they had an average placement of 20.66, but in the final 3 games they had an average placement of 4th. They turned it around big time. It's great to see that French Fortnite is back in a good place after of course we had 0 French players at Globals last year in Lyon. Now that's pretty far from the case, and as you'll see, Skyjump and Mumsy aren't the last successful French duo that I'll talk about today. But in 4th place we had Pix and Ghost. Now of course these guys are a very new duo. They played for the first time in the second chance qualifiers and they hit the ground running, securing their place at the Summit LAN, and indeed they had a great start to this tournament too. They won game 1, they came 2nd in game 2. Really impressive stuff considering considering how little time they've spent playing together. Now, it did get a little bit ropey in the middle of the tournament, but 4th place is still a hugely impressive performance. I'm really excited to see how Ghost does at the Summit LAN. If you don't know, he currently plays on 50 ping as he is from Greece, but he is still such an impressive mechanical fighter, and it's going to be insane to see what he can do when he is on flat 0 ping. Now, I promised you there were more successful French duos, and Akira and Karama also had a great tournament, coming in 5th place. And yes, these guys also qualified for the Summit LAN via the second chance qualifiers. They of course came first in that tournament, winning 3 out of the 6 games, putting in a dominant performance. It's fair to say that they have put the disappointment of the FNTS Grand Finals past them. They only managed the 39th place, which was a real shock because we've seen such consistency from them over the past few months. But listen, they are back to normal. They're playing as we would expect. And the last divisional cups have been pretty solid for them: a 24th, a 3rd, a 6th, a 7th. They are always in and around the best teams on the region. They haven't let their underperformance in FNCS finals define them, and honestly, I am here for their revival. In 6th place, we had Thomas HD and Focus. Not their worst performance, but they would have liked to have done a little bit better. They lacked a bit of consistency in the mid games, but they weren't terrible by any means. Focus actually had the most eliminations out of any player, proving why he is one of the best players in the world right now. Ideally, they'd be challenging for the win, but a 6th is pretty fine. In 7th place, we had Truly and Gonzo. Now, I did not put these guys in my top 10 predictions because I thought that they would be contested over at Dark Dominion. If you didn't see the second day of the FNCS Grand Finals, it all went wrong for them. They didn't beat Swizzy and Pixie off spawn there once and finished 49th for the day. This was after the day 1 where they actually beat Swizzy and Pixie every single time off spawn, so it was a complete Jekyll and Hyde performance. But because of that, I did worry that they may get surprise contested, but no, they held their own. It didn't end up happening, and the 7th place is really solid for this team. Yes, they didn't make the Summit LAN. Yes, FNCS did not go to plan for them, but do not count them out. They still have huge potential, and the year is not done for them yet. Rounding out the top 10, we had Shakos and Monkey Diari in 8th place. We had Fastroki and Kiro in 9th, and Trippin and Lunex in 10th. So what about the duos outside of the top 10? Well, let's start off by talking about MrSavage and Velo, because this was a disastrous tournament for them. They finished in 50th place, dead last on the leaderboard. They just could not make it work. They were really struggling off spawn. They got beaten 4-2 by Neuer and Tarps over at the gas station near Squibbly Shores, and this is a very bad sign for the Summit LAN. Currently, they are uncontested over at Squibbly for the lower bracket. However, after this performance, I do worry if teams may see them as potentially an easy team to land on. The bottom 25 teams will come out of the upper bracket and will be looking for somewhere to land on day 2. And could they see Savage and Velo as an easy team to land on? It could be on the cards. But listen, there is still time until the Summit LAN. Savage and Velo can work hard at the off spawns, they can improve, and they can still put on a performance. But the truth of the matter is that if they struggle in the early game like they did in this cup, then teams will feel very comfortable about contesting them in the lower bracket. Moving back up to the top of the leaderboard, in 11th place we had Cami and Hari. Now, they did get surprise contested by the French duo of Izzy and Nosif, so honestly not a terrible performance all things considered. Hari also had the best damage ratio out of any player in the entire lobby, so credit to him, and hopefully we can see this duo challenge for a Divisional Cup win over the next 2 weeks. In 12th place though, we have a team that did disappoint me a little, and that was Chap and Flixie. Now, they actually started the tournament fine. Over the first 3 games they had an average game placement of 12th, but over the final 3 games that dropped to 27th. As per usual, they start okay, they look like they're going to do well, and then it all kind of falls apart towards the middle of the tournament, and they end up finishing outside of the top places. Truthfully, this isn't bad. 12th is still pretty solid, but it is fair to say that it is underwhelming. Chap and Flixie just have not been showing much lately. They came 17th in FNCS with the Mountain uncontested. They haven't won a Divisional Cup this year. I just want to see a little bit more from them because I know the quality they have on paper, and I know that they can do better. Now, over at Wonkyland, we had the usual chaos. It was of course Shark and Teeny versus Hussey and Fishix, a spawn fight that we've seen a couple of times already over the past few months, but it was actually fairly balanced. There were games where Hottie won, there were games where Shark won, there were games where third parties got involved, and in the end the leaderboard ended up reflecting this. We had Hottie and Fishix in 16th and Shark and Teeny in 17th. Neither team were able to significantly outperform the other. In the games where they did get off spawn, they were actually quite impressive. Shark and Teeny were able to win game 3. Shark hit this insane clip on Vico to secure the victory royale, which was just crazy. And then Hottie and Fishix came second in game 1. Genuinely, I do think this team deserves a lot more credit than they get. It wasn't that long ago that they lost 6 So off spawn to Shark and Teeny, not managing a single point and coming dead last in 50th place. Now we've reached the point where the spawn fights are pretty much equal. So fair play to Hottie and Fishix, they've improved a lot. Yes, we won't be seeing them at the Summit LAN. Yes, Shark and Teeny are the team that will be representing EU over at Wonky LAN, facing up against Clicks and Hicks, but credit to Hottie and Fishix, I do think they've done well. There were more teams that did struggle in this Divisional Cup. We had the Week 1 champions Dharm and Demush, only able to manage a 23rd place finish. Chino and Pablo Wingu, the FNCS runners-up, only able to finish in 24th, a really uncharacteristic performance from them. I expected them to finish in at least 2nd place, and honestly I could have easily seen them challenging for the win, but it just didn't go like that on the day at all. They only made it into the top 20 in 2 out of the 6 games. Very surprising stuff. And then in 25th place we had iDrop and Marius. These guys looked pretty uncomfortable throughout the whole tournament. They weren't happy at their drop spot. They got beamed out of the air in one game before they even touched the ground. Definitely not a cup that either of them enjoyed. And of course I can't forget about the European duos that qualified on NA Central. Pablo Wingu and Kiro were our highest placing representatives, finishing in 19th place. We also had Akira and Karama in 36th, Kami and Hari in 39th, and King, Cringe and Twy in 44th place. Leave a comment down below. I'm interested to hear what you guys thought about the tournament. Subscribe to stay up to date with EU competitive news. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.